Before I start, I just want to say that I don't read comics, but I do like them. I do like superheroes and all that stuff. I'd say I have like just like a general knowledge. No more than anyone who doesn't actually read comics, but it's like, if I get anything wrong, then I apologize and, you know, correct me in the comments if you don't mind. I don't mind. Uh, but yeah, basically, what I wanted to talk about was something that's kind of been on my mind and something I've seen kind of come up. And personally, I haven't really seen anyone kind of like explain it in the way that I've kind of got it in my mind when it comes to this whole like diversity and inclusion and all that stuff and representation and all that kind of stuff when it comes to like certain people in entertainment and all that stuff like that. I'm I'm talking specifically about like black people right now. Uh, and it's basically like what I think about like black culture in storytelling. And the main example I'm probably going to use right now is like like Miles Morales, Black Spider Man, and some other shows like Luke Cage and Black Lightning and maybe Black Panther too. But it's like excuse me, when it comes to like the whole diversity and representation thing, I feel like one way to not go about it, or one way that's like not probably as like what people really mean when they say they want like black diversity and representation, all that stuff. I feel like personally, it's like the whole just like throwing random black person or like one or two black people into like a cast of just like majorly non-black people is just kind of like whatever, you know. Like I don't know. I guess some people take that as kind of like like yeah, that's progressive, but it's kind of like it's just kind of like I don't know. It's just a few black people thrown into a a diverse cast, and even then, it's like I'm not saying you need a majority black cast or all black cast or anything like that, but it's like the thing that like in my opinion that really matters when it comes to the whole like inclusion, representation, and diversity and all that stuff isn't as much as like, hey, here's this person, here's this character who looks like this, so they represent that demographic and whatnot. I don't care about that personally. I don't even think that's what a lot of people are really talking about. I think what people really care more about isn't race as much as it is culture. You know, uh, specifically, again, I'm talking specifically about black people. I'm talking about black culture. You know, the representation of that in media and storytelling. Uh, and basically, for any of you who don't know what black culture is or what culture is in general, because I know you got a lot of people out here who they think they know what black culture is, and they'll be like, oh, gangs and crime and drugs and poverty, and it's like that's not. First of all, that's stupid. Like, why would you think like that? That's not black culture. That's poverty culture. Okay, that's poverty culture. That's not specifically a black thing. Because I know y'all see some of these Latino folk out here in a similar situation. So that's not a black thing. You know, we got other people out here in that situation too. But I'm going off topic. When it comes to what black culture is stuff like how we talk. Like our slang and our vernacular. The flavor to how we talk. The way we dress, the way we get our hair done, the way we joke around, the way we greet each other, the certain little situations that we can relate to, not just bad stuff, but like just like little common stuff. Like this is like a kind of a dumb little example, but it's like oh that like how you have like that one plastic cup that you always drink juice out of, Minute Maid in your house. That one cup that you always drink juice out of. Little dumb stuff like that. But it's like yeah. But other than that, it's like Also, like locations, like cookouts and barbecues, and music. Music is a big one. Everybody knows hip hop, but it's like black people do more than just rap. Do more than just rap. We got hip hop, R&B, soul, gospel, jazz, blues. All of this is black culture. Okay, that is black culture. Stuff like poverty and crime and all that stuff. It's like I said, that's not. Those are like yeah issues in like some black areas, but those aren't exclusively black issues, and that definitely ain't black culture. Like that ain't it, bro. That ain't it. Those are just issues. But it's like yeah. Back to what I was saying. I kind of use Miles Morales as a as an example of what I'm talking about. And I'm specifically talking about Miles Morales' representation in the comics compared to his representation in the new Spider-Man movie coming out called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And for anyone who like understands black culture, it's like really obvious, like from just looking at the two of them, like how they're both represented, not just in their stories from what I've seen personally, as well as like their appearance. Because like when I look at Miles in the comics, he and I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like dude looks like default black character number 8. He's just he's just this black dude with just low normal low haircut, which is ironic for me to say because it's like like that's what I got, but it's like you could pizzazz him up a bit and make him look more modern. In his story, it's not all that great from what I've seen. It's just the typical, oh he's a poor little black boy, and he's got it rough, and and it's like that's all they go into, and it's like he's competing against other minorities, and because they're all poor and they ain't got no money, and then you got his family. From what I've seen, can't speak on his mom because I can't remember what his mom was like, but from what I've seen of his dad looks very much like the stereotypical ideal black father where he's like all super clean cut, he's bald, no facial hair, has like, the big, nerdy glasses, show how intelligent he is, and he wears like sweater vests and collared shirts and speaks all proper and all that stuff. Not saying he probably has like a desk job or something. Not saying that's bad. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I ain't saying that's bad at all, dog. That's great, you know. But it's like I said, he comes very much off like the stereotypical like cliche ideal black father. And then it's like but then you got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, their representation of those characters, where when you look at Miles, or at least when I looked at Miles in the movie, or the trailer, like he just immediately just like screamed like black culture. Because the moment I looked at him and heard him talk, like I looked at the way he dressed, I looked at the way he looked, I looked at the way he talked. Immediately, I was like, okay, whoever drew him, whoever is doing his voice acting, whoever is directing him and writing him or whatever, like they at least they understand black culture. Because I think the writer is actually a black dude or the director or whatever. So it's like, yeah. And for what I mean, it's like, you look at the way he dresses, right? Like, the biggest example I can kind of point out of how he dresses is like his shoes. Like homeboy got freaking Air Jordans on, from what I remember, and the way and you see the way his hair is grown. He grows his hair out instead of having like a low cut. He grows his hair out in a fro. And it's not just like a big puffball afro. It's like he's got it like lined up and all clean and stuff. And like you see, it's it might be kind of like I think it might be kind of like faded on the side. Instead of like again having it grow out in like a big puff ball. And you see that at the top it has like a little it has some like little natural nap to it, like that natural little nap and unkemptness to it that you see a lot of. But basically, it's in a style that you see a lot of black teenagers, a lot of black dudes in general rocking nowadays. And then you got the way he talks. You know, when he introduced himself, he wasn't like, "My name is Miles Morales." He said, "My name's Miles Morales." He had a flavor to the way that he was talking. He had a vernacular, a slang, and I like that. I freak with that. And I was like, "Yo, this is how you represent a realistic like black teenager." I was like, "This is a realistic black teenager that I can imagine nowadays. Like this is black culture." You know, compared to what? Oh yeah, uh, I forgot to talk about his dad too. His dad. Instead of being like cliche, you know, cliche idealistic father in the movie, he's like this big. He's a buff nigga basically, and he's a cop. He's a cop. He out here in these streets. Even he got some more flavor to him. You know what I'm saying? Like just like Miles, like his dad in the movie got way more flavor to him than what I saw in the comics. And it's like these two. This is what like these two is what I'm talking about. Compare how they look in the movie to how they are in the freaking comics, and it's like night and day for anybody who understands like black people and black culture. Like there is a distinct difference. You know, and going off of that, it's like back to the whole representation diversity thing. It's like it's like you would think when people talk about like all this stuff like diversity, inclusion, all that stuff, you would think like, oh well, people want to have more of their own demographic in stuff in the media in entertainment, and it's like yeah, that's whatever. I guess that's okay. Because again, you don't have to be in a majority. You don't have to be in a majority or entirely black cast, to represent black people and black culture properly. But it's like, from what we've seen of this diversity, it doesn't seem to really go anywhere. But where we do see that better representation in things like Black Panther and Black Lightning and Luke Cage. More specifically, Luke Cage and Black Lightning than Black Panther, because Black Panther takes place in like Africa, so it's kind of different. But like Black Lightning and Luke Cage, those are first of all those are black shows. Like, you ain't gonna tell me no different, dog. Especially Luke Cage season 2. Like that's what's up. Like, but yeah, I love those two shows. They're great. Not just because the blackness, but it's like they're just good shows in general. But the blackness adds and that extra layer of relatability. You know, you don't have to be able to relate to your characters that much to like them, but when you do, it adds that extra layer. Of liking the story and the characters a whole lot more. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, again, it's kind of weird how it's like it is kind of weird because again I'm talking about diversity, but it's like it seems the problem is more solved when there's less diversity than when there is more diversity, and that sounds kind of weird, because again, Luke Cage and Black Lightning are majorly black shows, you know. But yeah, I feel like that's more what black people are talking about, stuff like that, when they're talking about all this stuff, uh, as opposed to just hey, throw a random black person in this thing and oh look, there's a black guy. That's the representation y'all want it, right? And it's like, no, that's not it. That ain't it. Anything else? Let's see. Luke Cage. Uh, what did it take away from it? Basically, it's like I'm not trying to say like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. I'm rambling. I'm so sorry, y'all. But it's like, what was I trying to say? hmm I've lost my thoughts, y'all. I'm sorry. Well, basically, I feel like I've kind of said everything I needed to say. So, yeah, black culture.